up again. Cenk, stand up again. Stand up again. Okay.
I used to do your job, I understand the complexity.
That was my bad.
We'll have words after this debate about it. In other news today, there was a conversation and debate about alcohol use. Should be lobbying this year.
In Iowa, cancer. There's all of these
Oh my God! Anywhere! What's he doing? He's practicing wax on one. It's very zen. I had to clean transplant floor because I have an alcohol use problem. And then I almost got my throat raw.
I think I got it.
Well, if you're trying to make the floor sticky,
I think I got it.
I mean, I did concrete slick, but wort does not mix because when you switch the floor enough, it's going to come off. I know from experience. My husband and I rode maybe 42 miles in rapids through the Cumberland Pass. And we get home.
Check, can everybody hear me? Wow.
And we get home, like, he gets off one side
How's
of the
everybody doing tonight? If my guests, the candidates, can come up and get on the stage, please, in their appropriate places. I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. This is, I believe, is the first debate for the Congressional District. My name is Stephen Daniels. I host a podcast called The Talk Santa Rita. Why I'm up here in Palmdale, Jack in the Box, I don't know. But I want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to host tonight. We're still looking for Christopher. We're waiting for Christopher. Okay. So Christopher can come to the stage. Let's see here, guys. I guess we're going to get started. First of all, I'll do introductions. Christopher can come up on the stage. There's Christopher. Yay, Christopher! I want to say this real quick though. There's been a little bit of controversy about whether this is an official debate or not. I recently just looked up on the internet. Debate is defined as a formal discussion on a particular topic at a public meeting. This is public. We're going to have a discussion on a particular topic. Opposing arguments are put forward. I would say this qualifies as a debate, so let's move from that. So despite what some people are saying about the legitimacy of this debate, according to what the definition is, I think we qualify. Does everybody agree? Yeah. So the next thing I want to do is just very briefly just introduce everybody all the candidates. No introductions yet, guys. No opening statements yet. And then we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance because, you know, we should. First is Cenk Uygur. His name Next is Anibal. I'm blanking on your last name there. Valdez-Ortega, I'm sorry. Getro? Getro Elize. And the name I'm probably had was talking Christopher Smith. So I hope everybody knows the pledge. If we can stand up and very briefly, quickly do the Pledge of Allegiance, it would be terrific. Jen, as an immigrant, I think it would be terrific if you led us.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, gentlemen, please grab your microphones, if you could, please. All right, here's the way this is going to work. The rules are this. First off, just so you guys know, most people when they do debates, they say, hey, no, cheering or anything like that. Screw that. If you guys want to cheer, if you want to boo, I don't care. I'm doing that for the applause. The second thing is, but just keep in mind, if you do, you are taking away from the candidate's time. But you're welcome to do it if you want. Second thing is, if you see talking points, I hate talking points. I'm assuming you guys do too. So that is a great time to go boo. So, and the last thing is, I just recently did a podcast with Cenk, and having found from his followers, I think it's just consider we are in a bar. Do not shoot the moderator. So, just a messenger, guys. Just a messenger. All right, we're going to start with the questions. We're going to start with just an opening statement question. This is the only one that was given to the candidates in advance. Here we go. So, very simply, we'll start with Cenk. Why are you running? No talking points. I want an anecdote which tells us how you decided what you wanted to run specifically for congressman. Copy and paste it, guys. And why you are the best person for this job.
All right, thank you. So thank you everybody for coming out tonight.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right. And I can project too.
There you go. Try that.
All right. Hey, why don't I take Christy's mic?
Are they all dead?
It's not connected at all.
Why don't you yell?
Yeah, we'll understand.
Project. Where's your card? Hello. Christy, set up these mics.
Time's up.
Okay, here we go. Thank you all for coming out here. It's a giant crowd. I appreciate it. All right, listen. I don't care about being a congressman. I don't care about the title. I don't care about the power or the privilege. A lot of folks run so they can say, "Oh, I'm a United States congressman." I'll tell you why I'm running. I had a perfectly good career, as a lot of you know, fighting for progressives on the Young Turks, and I've set up a couple of political groups. The reason I'm running is because nobody will call out the cancer in our system, and that is the corruption. If you don't call it by its name, you're never, ever going to fix it. When a corporation gives you money, they don't give you money for charity. They give it to you because it's a bribe, and they're looking to buy you. And since no one would call it out, I was left with no choice but to actually get in the ring myself. Guys, it is true for the whole country, but particularly true for this district. There are so many different ailments here that we're going to talk about throughout the night. And if you don't get the money out, we're never, ever going to fix it.
Okay, it's time.
Thank you.
Anibal, why are you running? And can you give me an anecdote as to why you think you're the one that should be the congressperson in this district?
First of all, good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm running because if you guys remember in 2016, after a certain election day, I woke up with a big headache. And that headache has not gone away. I'm running because so many people after that election told me, what do we do now? What does this mean for immigration? What does this mean for DACA? What does this mean for my pre-existing condition? And what in the world are we going to do about this so-called wall? I'm running because for the last 3 years, I was a law student then, now I'm an attorney. We can do things in this valley. I have a product in this valley. I was in elementary school, middle school, high school, and I went to Anibal Valley College, and I came back. I want to run for this Congress, represent this district, because too many people like me leave to get an education and they don't come back. How do we make this valley better? You're looking at it. Everybody right here goes out to votes, educated, go out there and educate people, get them to vote, and also make a difference. We need to get money out of politics 100%. Corruption is a big problem, and it starts with people like you when we go out and vote on March 3rd.
Very well said, Anibal.
Getro, why are you running?
Currently, our district lacks leadership. We all know this. People are just fed up. You know, they're disengaged and disillusioned by what's going on. I mean, we don't trust our elected officials at all to do anything for us. They can't walk and chew gum at the same time, and we know it. If we're going to pass policy, we got to elect someone that's going to represent the 25th and its best interests. And you deserve to have a seat at the table, and not just people at the top.
Christopher, why are you running? Can you give me an anecdote?
Sure, yeah. So, about 2 months ago, a shadowy Republican operative came up to me and asked me to jump in. No.
Take that question.
No. Actually, my whole life I've been engaged in trying to make the world a better place through different methodologies. I worked in politics for a while and then got into documentary filmmaker, and I've been doing documentary filmmaker for the last 8 years. And for those of you who don't know, being a documentary filmmaker entails spending a lot of time alone in a dark room, and it takes years to get projects out. And I missed the hands-on, pardon the phrase, but getting my hands down the dirt with the people, making change effectively on the ground and directly. And when what happened with Katie Hill, it was a brief window when there was to decide. I just felt like, in my gut, that it was the time to get back involved more directly.
All right, guys. Now, let me tell you about this. I've interviewed Ani and I've interviewed Cenk. Getro met tonight. Christopher, I've been to both of your own websites and looked at stuff. The challenge tonight is really everybody here. I would think, raise your hand if you disagree. You're all progressives, correct? Okay. So let's do a quick voice test. Who supports the Green New Deal? Raise your hand. All right. Medicare for all. Supports Donald Trump's impeachment. All right. I think we're done, guys. Good night. But what I want to know, just to get kind of a litmus test, is where you guys are as Democrats. I think the presidential race is a great example of across-the-board perspective on Democrats. I'd like to ask each of you who you support right now as a Democrat for president. Cenk, you want to start? We'll just go down the road.
So, thank you. Christy. All right. First of all, I appreciate the questions you asked about whether we're progressives. Obviously, there's someone here who would not have answered the questions the way the four of us did. There is one person in this race who is against Medicare for all, and you should know that. That means that you're against universal health care coverage. And by the way, she's never been asked any of these questions, including the president the presidential candidates she supports. My answer is very, very clear. I've already endorsed Bernie Sanders. So, why do I do that? I'm not voting for Bernie Sanders because he's clearly the most progressive. He's been that way for 40 years. He's never wavered. And he is the one honest politician, I hope now two honest politicians in the country. And so for a guy who has fought for us for 40 years and who has led on all of these issues, Medicare for all, he's been for single payer, and unlike Nancy Pelosi, he did not bury it in her basement, okay? And he has been for fixing the environment, fighting on climate change. He pushed for $15 minimum wage when no one else would. He's been against corruption, and like me, he can't stand the income inequality. He can't stand the bribery. So to me, it's a very natural pick. And one of the things I want to mention, independents are not moderates. Both me and Bernie Sanders are much more likely to get independents because they don't like either party. That is why they're independents. And they want someone who is honest and uncorrupted. I think that's clearly Bernie Sanders.
Who are you supporting and why?
I'm definitely supporting Bernie Sanders. We have to, there's a lot of overlap. We have to understand what the political landscape is now and why people run. Bernie Sanders, long track record of who he is, very clear on the issues, uncompromising where things need to change. It's very clear. People in this country have issues with access to medicine. People get sick, we are human beings. There shouldn't be a question if whether you should pay your monthly mortgage or you should take your child to the hospital. Period. There shouldn't be a question whether your child should go into college because they can afford it or have to make that decision to stay home. We have to understand that the future are the children. If we can't put them into college, if they can't have the choice whether they have a 2-year track or a 4-year track, then what really are we doing with our future? Bernie Sanders, for a long time, has led the way with education. He's marched on civil rights. He's been very clear on women's rights, very clear on Medicare, and very clear as to what needs to change in regards to immigration. We live in a valley which is constantly changing. Demographics are constantly changing. We all have neighbors, we have family members. You know, somebody who was targeted by the racist, xenophobic policies of the current administration. It's very clear who the candidate is who's going to attack that, and that's Bernie Sanders.
Yeah!
Bernie, definitely.
All right.
Be more enthusiastic, Bernie, definitely. His values align with mine. You know, we should have Medicare for all. I actually work in the field of Medicaid. And I see people, and in all honesty, it breaks my heart if I have to turn someone away and say, hey, you know what, you can't be seen here. It's heartbreaking. And we should be able to have an education. We spend millions of dollars locking people up, but we tell them you can't send them to get an education. That's insane. It's insane every And we should be angry at our elected officials right now because, you know what, they don't have to go through it. They don't have to say, you know what, I can't send you to school, Johnny. Sorry, Joe Blue Collar, I can't do it. And that's why I support Bernie. Bernie Sanders, he's not doing it for the money. He's not doing that. He's not in it for that. What he wants to do is see the lives of every American in this country better.
Bonus if you don't say Bernie Sanders.
I was going to lead with. I did support Bernie Sanders in the last election, and I have for years before that when people weren't really talking about him. I've always thought he was like a strong fighter for progressive values, and I mean, particularly when he did that, when he did the filibuster up there for like 12 hours, it was fucking incredible. But having said that, I also believe that Elizabeth Warren is an amazing candidate. So I'm on the fence. I like Elizabeth Warren for her policy wonkiness because I think that is a really important quality we don't value enough in our society. We just want to elect people we get beers with, but I kind of want to elect somebody who's smart, and I'm not saying Bernie's not, I think he really is. But I think Bernie kind of lines up a little more with my values, but you know, I think it's time for a woman, so.
Now, I want to just let's mix things up just a little bit. 60 seconds for this next answer, okay? I just want to know, first off, do we have Katie Hill fans in the audience?
No!
Yes!
No!
Yes!
She's not going to go long.
All right, well, what I want to know is, obviously, we're looking at a situation where you're going to be filling in the rest of her term, and as well as possibly another 2 years as congressperson. I think a lot of people would like to know, where are you different, other than anatomically, from Katie Hill? Excuse me, from Katie Hill. Cenk, you want to do it again? Sorry.
Yeah, so, look, I think that what happened to Katie Hill was wrong. I don't think she should have resigned. So, I defended her on her show from day one. From what we know, it certainly shouldn't have resigned over pictures, as her private life was outrageous. In terms of how I'm different, well, as you can probably tell from this campaign, I'm not going to be controlled by anyone, including Democratic leadership. And it's not a fault of Katie's, it's just that the system puts you into a certain pecking order. And when you're a freshman and you listen to Democratic leadership, you are at the very, very bottom of that pecking order. So it would be very hard to deliver for this district doing that. Instead, if you put public pressure on Democratic leadership and you help to lead the progressive caucus, then you actually have much greater power and can push people in the right direction and push the Democratic Party in the right direction, like, for example, John Lewis did. If he had not put on public pressure to Nancy Pelosi, she would not have done impeachment. So that is a correct method of getting real change for all of you guys.
How are you like or just different from Katie Hill?
Well, one, I have my own voice, so I'm not going to let others dictate what I can and can't do. I'm going to be very clear, and I've gone on the record with this before. I think what happened to her is not fair. Had she been a man, and speaking as a man, I don't think she would have resigned, nor should she. But that's unfortunately the double standard that we do with today. So I'm from the Valley, I'm from here, I'm one of you guys' neighbors. I'm going to be different because I'm not going to be kowtowed by witches in Sacramento. I'm not going to be kowtowed by witches in Washington, D.C. I'm an attorney, I fought for people, I fight for the little guy, and unfortunately we don't have enough of that in D.C. Katie Hill was well-meaning, she's very progressive, but I think we can actually do more. And what I mean more is, I mean it. People in this valley have told me, I can't have my child go to college. I've had people come up and tell me, I want to grow up and I want to be an attorney, I want to be a doctor, I want to run for president, but my parents can't afford it. I have to work for family business, I have to work because I have brothers and sisters, or I have to stay home and babysit. That's the problem that we have in this valley, and that's where I differ with Katie Hill. We need to focus more on the children, the education, and the people who are right here in this district.
Well, I want to know, how are you, if you win the position of congressperson, how are you different from Katie Hill, or how are you like her?
Actually, I don't think Katie Hill should have. Can you hear me? Okay. I don't think Katie Hill should have resigned. I don't hear it. You know, like Anibal said, it's a double standard. It is a double standard.
Well, I mean, she has resigned now, so my question is, what would you do differently based on her record, or what, based on her record, her voting record, and, you know, her positions, how are you staying with her, or how are you different?
Well, one, we have to bring, we have to be progressive on our issues, Stephen. And how I'm different is that I want to be held accountable, unlike some of the politicians that we have that's currently elected. What we should be doing, like I said, is bringing education, bringing jobs in this particular district. She stayed down the hill. She stayed in Santa Clarita. Santa Clarita is different from Palmdale. You cannot compare Santa Clarita to Simi Valley or anything like that. If you want to actually make a change here in the district, talk to the people here. Ask them what's wrong. Go knock on people's door. Ask them, say, hey, how can I help you? And I think that's what that separates myself and other candidates on the stage. Thank you.
I'd say I'm like Katie Hill in that I also, I'm a polyamorous as well, and I honestly don't think that we should have any problem with people's sexuality, and which should not be a factor of our, but that's what for millions of other people in this country, along with a lot of young people, millennials and zennials, and all these people who don't care. And guess what? If our country wasn't run by a bunch of old white men, it wouldn't be an issue either. Now, that's a separate discussion. I think that's the real reason that she had to resign, wasn't because of yes, there's some ethical considerations, but really, it's like when we live in a puritanical time in society, that's the kind of thing that happens, is that not all viewpoints are respected. I'd say that I'm unlike her in the sense that I can't raise as much money as she can. And also I agree with what Jake said, which is, I think that we, as progressives, when we get to Congress, we need to work and collaborate with other progressives. We need to stand up to leadership who doesn't have always our best interest in mind. They have winning in mind. And I think that's what we've seen here in this race with the rush to endorse Christy Smith with every Democratic organization and club without actually interviewing anybody else. So, that being said, I would stand independent for what we're
Now, let's get to the issues specifically. Immigration. Let's start with Getro on this question. It's become a problem like never before. What are your suggestions to resolve the issue? And would you compromise on any level, such as funding a wall to get DACA passed?
First off, we shouldn't be funding the wall. We can send our kids to school. I also believe that why would we want to do that? Why would we want to have a wall? We can do things in this particular valley because our valley is extraordinary. We're diverse. We can bring jobs here. We can talk about education. We can talk about things like that. But what are we going to do to actually bring it about? What I want to do, particularly, is have somebody that's going to. We want to elect somebody that's going to actually represent our issues here. And when I get to Congress, I'll be able to do that. Okay.
You will respond, or if you have I'll give you 60 seconds on this question. Immigration itself, what would you do to try to resolve the issue? And more specifically, would you compromise any of your values to build a wall if it would save DACA?
I'm an immigration attorney, and that wall is a joke. That wall is a waste of money.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time, and it's a big distraction. Okay? Let's be very clear. Sending the army to the border to jail kids, put kids in cages, put families in cages, stop people from the Muslim religion from entering areas is illegal, it's a joke, and it's expected to end. And I will not compromise my values for that wall. DACA is deferred action for childhood arrivals. Those people, those children were here, they were brought here as kids. I have family members, I have close friends, I have family here who was on DACA. Those people want to be Americans just as much, if not more than everybody here. Yeah. So you don't compromise that. We're a nation of immigrants. If you guys didn't know, there's a taco truck right outside. Come on, people. It's our value. It's time to grow up. No compromise. The wall's a joke. It's a waste of your money.
Yeah. So this is exactly the problem with Democratic leadership. They constantly compromise with Trump, and it's not even a compromise. They give him everything he wants. On the Defense Department bill, they let him discriminate against transgender people in this country. They let him build a space force. They let him divert money to the wall. He didn't have to do any of that. Fighting isn't just for fighting's sake. It's actually the most practical and pragmatic thing that you could do. We actually had Donald Trump cornered when there was a government shutdown. He shut the government down, and we could have easily gotten DACA there. As much as I am skeptical about Democratic leadership, I was still stunned that they did not demand that we get protection for the Dreamers when the government was shut down. They definitely could have gotten that, and they chose not to get it. That's why you need a fighter to go in there and say, I'm not compromising with Donald Trump. I'm here to kick his ass. Right.
And you and I talked about this on the podcast, but there are 535 members of Congress, and right now Donald Trump is president. I mean, how are you going to get all those people, all the Republicans, the Blue Dog Democrats, everything, to agree with you to not back down on any level when you're one person?
Yeah, I love that question. So look, there's two things about it. First of all, with Donald Trump, on the government shutdown, we absolutely positively had him. His popularity was sinking every single day. So there you don't need compromise. You need to put on public pressure until he concedes. We let him off the hook. We let him off the hook. We didn't need to do that. And then in terms of Republicans, we don't need him in the House at all. Who the hell is Nancy Pelosi compromising with? We have the House. We have it. Okay. And then in terms of the Senate, you guys, you got to put pressure on McConnell. He's popularity in Kentucky's down to 35%. We can knock them out. He's never going to compromise with us. We are not here to compromise with the Republicans. We are here to defeat them. Look, our job number one in 2020 is defeat Trump. Defeat Trump.
Can I get let's just get answer an immigration question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So I just wanted to chime in on immigration thing real quick. I think the biggest problem facing many of our issues in this country, or underlying our issues, is that we don't treat, orient, and include compassion in our dialogue. And when I look at immigrants, I spent some time down on the border about 10 years ago, a few weeks, learning about immigration from all perspectives. And I got to say that, like, the number one thing lacking in the public discourse, although less so at the border, is compassion, and treating the people who are coming to this country and recognizing that they're fleeing important or really terrible circumstances. And I think that we just need to keep that squarely in mind with all the policies we make, but particularly with immigration. Because compassion and looking at somebody and recognizing that we're all human and we're all part of the same planet is an important facet of crafting the right policy going forward. And I also agree with Cenk about being, a firm.
Can I chime in? Sure, go ahead.
I agree.
30 seconds.
I agree. We do have to address immigration, because my parents are immigrants. They came from a country called Haiti, Cameroon, and we are fleeing areas of distress. When my parents came here years ago, fleeing distress. And my grandmother couldn't read, and she came here for a better life, and she was able to. We shouldn't deny people that opportunity, because we are American. We are Americans. We are all immigrants from somehow, some way. Thank you.
Get a 50 seconds for
My mother was sitting right over there. She was born in Mexico. I had to immigrate with my mom. Think about that for a second. Somebody who grew up here in the Anibal Valley, somebody who's your neighbor. What's the possibility? What is it that we're really putting aside? And what is it that we can accomplish? Send them up there. There she is right there. And so we need to treat everybody as if our mother was an immigrant, because let's be real, we're all immigrants here, okay? We need to treat each other with respect. The discourse is toxic. We need to treat each other with respect we deserve. Thank you.
Time. Okay. Let's start with Christy's next question. 60 seconds, yes. North Korea seems to be acting up again. Donald Trump claims that there isn't a problem with North Korea. In fact, he thought the big surprise might be a wonderful vase. It's true. Yet they are continuing to launching missiles, testing and proceeding on the nuclear war. What is the solution, and how would you do it in Congress?
Great question. Yeah, I think that when it comes to North Korea, obviously you have to handle all these rogue states in different capacities, and obviously the Trump administration is not handling this well at all. I think that the policy that we've largely been following is pretty much the best we can do, including multilateral negotiations with actors in the region, particularly China, which is also made more complicated by these current trade deals or wars that we're in. I think that Asia in general is going to be what we're going to be talking about in 5 to 10 years' time, more so than the Middle East. When we look at all around the world, when the U.S. is ceding our place in certain countries, what's being filled in that power vacuum is China. And with China and with North Korea having them as a strong ally, suddenly our leverage in negotiation is much diminished. So, as a member of Congress, obviously it depends on what committees we're serving on and whatnot, but
Go ahead and finish your sentence. I'm sorry.
That's right. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think there's not a whole lot we can do as an individual other than, keeping the pressure on and voting the right ways. And hopefully, if I were on the Foreign Service Committee, I would like to be a lot more involved with those policies.
We're going to get 30 seconds left. Question? I'm first, please.
North Korea is a proud country, but it is a very poor third world country, and that's the issue here. It's being thrown about as a pawn by China and the United States. The biggest difference, the biggest contrast you can see here is between North Korea and South Korea. The influx of Western money, investment, and the people. I have several friends who have family in North Korea, and they tell me they want help, they need help, they can't feed their country. So how do we help the people first? Is give them the ability to see things for what they are. I'm sorry, but they're being led by a dictator. Trump is making a big mistake by negotiating with him. He needs to be able to have conversations and make sure that they don't limit their development with their weapons.
So when Donald Trump first said he was going to negotiate with the North Koreans, I was actually excited because you don't get to negotiate with your friends, you have to negotiate with your enemies. And that's how you get the peace. Now the problem is, he immediately said, oh, I'm going to know whether we're going to get a deal in the first second. And I thought, oh God, this guy's an idiot. So of course that's not how it works. And he said, I don't have to know about anything about North Korea. Then I knew it was hopeless. The real way to put pressure on North Korea and get a real peace deal is through China. They control the border. And so when it trade, sanctions, flow of people all go through China. So you have to actually have a delicate balance where you pressure the Chinese, yes, on our trade secrets, tariffs, but also on North Korea. And that requires smart, strategic thinking, not an idiot like Donald Trump.
So I'm going to go to some national. Do you want to respond, or if I'm going to if anybody wants to.
What? Oh, for anyone on the panel, or?
I don't know if we're taking questions or not.
Let's
not do that. Sorry, guys.
Okay. So, in all honesty, you can't negotiate with a dictator. Let's be honest with ourselves. We can't negotiate with a dictator. We can't do that. Because the dictator is going to do whatever he wants to do. He ignores Trump. We know that. He ignores Trump. So how are you going to pressure China to enforce something North Korea is going to do? And they're a sovereign country. North Korea is going to do whatever they want to do. What we have to do is keep the pressure on North Korea like we were doing before. Sanctions and we have South Korea. South Korea is a beautiful country. Like Anibal said, South Korea is a beautiful country. But let's be honest, if we're going to actually do something, we actually have to do. If we're actually going to do something, let's put something in place where we're going to have actual committee.
You have to cover in time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's fine. Let's move into some national issues. Recently, I had Steve Knight on the podcast, and don't shoot the messenger, guys. But one of the things I thought was most interesting about it was when I was talking to him, he acknowledged that Donald Trump probably has more power than any other president in history. What would you do to curb this power? We'll start with Cenk on this. And would you go through the courts? What are your options to try and curb the power that Donald Trump currently has?
Yeah, any and all of the above. So let's talk about specifics of how that works. So first of all, yes, you definitely, on issues like the Muslim ban, you go to the courts for sure. But you're also fighting when you have the government shut down, and that's when you have the most leverage. That's when we let him off the hook, as I explained earlier. But the thing to do is to knock out Republican senators, because those are the guys that are key to holding his power and the key to impeachment. So they're, like, the national media misunderstands politics completely. Those Republican senators aren't going to find a conscience. They're not going to grow a conscience. That's not how it works. What you have to do is create political pressure, and if they see their poll numbers going down, then they'll worry about their own seats and their own power. That is the only way you're going to get them to turn on Donald Trump, and that is the only way that Donald Trump actually loses power. You have to be strategic and know how to play politics right, not because it feels good, but because it's pragmatic and practical and a way to actually neuter Donald Trump.
Mitch McConnell has been in Congress from my home state, he's been in power for 30-something years. He doesn't care that he's at 35%. He knows he's going to get reelected. And even, okay, shake your head out of your mind. My point is this. Even if you say, let's get him voted out, at some point you're going to have to deal with Mitch McConnell right now if you're elected. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, I love that question. So guys, we're representing the 25th district here, but our main opponent is actually Mitch McConnell. Because for example, we had the shooting here in Saugus High School, right? 97% of Americans want federal background checks, but yet we don't have it. What kind of democracy do we live in? The reason is Mitch McConnell takes $1.2 million in bribes from the NRA. So how do you fight him? You tell the American people, this guy takes bribes. Why doesn't Pelosi do that? Why doesn't Christy do that? Why doesn't any Democratic leadership do that? Say, I want to vote, I want to vote. Get everybody in here, I'm going to invite you. Invite you in the house. You won't come with me. That was over 90% of the people in Kentucky want a federal background check. He's actually that's how you fight.
Trump derives a lot of his power from Fox News, one, let's be very clear, and from the senators and the few remaining Republicans in the House. What happened this last year? Republicans lost the House. What's happening right now in the Senate next year? Things don't look good for Republicans. The numbers are trending down. So how do you get policy started? You beat Trump in court. I'm an attorney. I'm telling you, he loses about 75% of all the cases he puts up. He's losing all of them. But guess what he's doing? He's appointing lifetime federal judges. And that's why he and McConnell have been ensuring in the future that if they get voted out of office, they still have these judges in place who will enforce their policy. So how do we beat Trump? You beat him at the House, we already did it. We're going to do it again in this turnaround. And you beat him at the Senate. McConnell's getting primary. I disagree. I think McConnell's going to be on his way out. A lot of people hold this against him. I'm constantly hearing, oh, if you heard what I'm hearing behind closed doors, they're fed up with Trump. They're happy with Trump. He throws his own people under the bus. He doesn't care. But still, when the camera's on them, they vote Trump. So how do we do this? Get those people out. We're free today to vote. Yeah. And we got to get the Republicans out of there.
Go ahead. What would curb Donald Trump's power around the Congress?
You got to put him on the hot seat. You got to put him on. You have to put the remaining members in Congress and people in the Senate on the hot seat. You have to be able to flip the Congress and in the Senate, because if not, he feels that right now as if he's untouchable. He feels very emboldened to do pretty much anything that he wants. You know, because we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We're not going out and voting. We are apathetic in what we're supposed to be doing. Like Jen said, you must vote. And the only way to do that is to go out there and actually do it. We're not, as of right now, Trump has, he has more conservatives on the Supreme Court right now, and we're worried about that. We're worried about it. Even though he's being rejected, we are worried about that. What if Ginsburg decides to step down? We're in trouble. We're in trouble. That means he's going to put another conservative judge on there. You know what happens after that? They start to strip away a lot of our rights. So in order for us to actually do something about it, like I said, we have to go out there and vote.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to know how we are going to take on Donald Trump and the Donald Trumps of the future, this is how we do it. What we do is we run progressive candidates in every district, in every country, even if they're and the reason we do that is because we're changing the conversation. Say what you will about Bernie Sanders in the 2016 election and whether or not he cost Donald Trump, to be president, which I don't agree with. But now we're talking about Medicare for all. We're talking about the Green New Deal. We have AOC. We have all these amazing people because he made it possible just by running. So what we need to do, and this is why I'm tired of everybody coming up and like, why are you challenging Christy Smith? I'm challenging Christy Smith, not for this election necessarily, although for this election, but because in the future, next time around, you guys are going to be able to say, well, we deserve progressive policies, and we know they're possible because there are people out there who will vote for them and who are running for them.
All right, guys, I'm going to start with Getro. I'm going to work on that name. He's right here. Getro. I did say it right. Okay. The Slavish shooting was brought up by Cenk just a few minutes ago. And I don't know about you guys, but I hate the fact that our district has become another horrible statistic in this country. It really bothers me a great deal. Who owns guns here? Can I get a raise of hands? Is anybody up here on this panel?
I actually own a gun. My dad was in the military, bought me one.
Okay, all right.
It's at his house.
When Katie was in the House, they did pass the bill that is now sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk regarding background checks. What I would like to know is, are there any laws that you're interested in creating, like maybe more red flag laws, or something like banning the AR-15, or and also, how do you convince the average gun owner to trust you that you're not just coming for their guns in general? And we'll start with Ani.
I'm sorry. As you know, I was in the military, so I was handling weapons. But I don't believe in taking people's guns away. I personally don't own weapons, but that shouldn't infringe on your right to own. Period. It should. And we should be keep passing more red flag laws, as in, what I want to take a step further is we need to have these people, how would you say, we need psychological testing. See where their mind is at. You know, we should have ballistics testing. If someone buys a gun during a loophole sale, you know, see if that weapon wasn't used in a crime. Or we should have practice an honest conversation with parents about what's going on with their kids. You know, that's a real issue. You know, so like I said, red flag laws and things like that. Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. But in all honesty, I believe that we need to take a more active approach in our kids' lives. Honestly.
I come from a family who owns guns. My brother owns guns. My other brother owns guns. I have family members in our service. Thank you so much, both of you, for your service. I believe that the Second Amendment does protect gun owners. In fact, responsible gun owners aren't the ones causing the problem. I'm very devout supporter of that. I believe that gun owners are responsible by and large, but there's no place in society for AK-47s or assault rifles. There isn't. If you need an AK-47 to shoot one, then you need some other kind of help. Education is just society. This isn't about coming for people's guns. It's about correctly interpreting the Second Amendment. You have a right to bear arms. You don't have a right to bear mass killing machines. We've talked a lot lately, and personally should be, the school shootings. And how many of these could have been so much worse if they had high-capacity magazines? You don't need high-capacity magazines to shoot a gun. You end up with, at the end of the 6-8 bullets, then just reload. You don't need a 50 cal mag or an AK-47.
So first of all, to finish up the last question, if you want to fight Donald Trump, you actually have to show up first. So now the issue of guns. By the way, Steve Knight also takes bribes from the NRA. He's taking thousands of dollars. Our kids get shot. Steve Knight winds up profiting off of that through his campaign donations. It's sick. It's absolutely sick.
What evidence do you have of that? According to Steve Knight last week,
I just checked it today. Open secrets. He takes money from the NRA. So guys, what are we going to do? So yes, definitely federal background checks. Yes, red flag laws. Yes, we've got to ban assault weapons. I was door knocking in Christy. The guy comes out, he's a veteran. He said, look, I got a gun. It's locked up in my safe. The bullets are in a different safe because I got kids in this house and we got to be safe. It makes me sick what happened in Saugus High School. He said, I was in Vietnam. I handled an assault weapon. What the hell does anybody need an assault weapon in Christy for or anywhere in this district? It doesn't make any sense. And the interpretation of the Second Amendment is wrong. You don't have a right to bear any arm in your life. You don't have a right to an RPG. You don't have a right to a nuclear weapon. You don't have a right to all of these.
And I wholeheartedly agree with you, but you also have to understand, in this district, people like guns. We have a gun show going on in Lancaster, not too far from here, on Sunday. You know, how are you going to convince them to say you shouldn't have an assault weapon, or you shouldn't have a handgun, or 30, 40 round magazine? How are you going to convince them?
Yeah, so it's a great question to sit directed at me. I'll tell you. So first of all, I don't change my principles or my ideas trying to win votes.
Thank you.
I am not a standard politician, okay? And so those guys who say, hey, I like my assault weapons, this is a hobby of mine. I got a hobby, it's fantasy football. It doesn't kill anyone. Okay? So if you say, oh, well, I get off on having an assault weapon, yes, I know, but other people get killed with those assault weapons. So I'm not negotiating with you, and I'm not trying to convince you, I'm just going to ban them.
Being the only gun owner up here, which is somewhat of a joke because I don't even know what gun I own. But that's not ideal when the zombie apocalypse comes, I'm not sure. But really, I grew up, my dad taught me how to shoot guns. I was a Boy Scout. I had to shoot lots of guns in my lives. And whenever I visited, he's always trying to get me to the gun range. And I obliged sometimes when I wasn't happy. Regardless, I don't have a particular thing against gun or people who want to own gun owners, who want to own guns. However, if we can save even just a few lives by banning guns, it's a moral imperative that we do. Full stop. And in addition to that, I agree that the Second Amendment doesn't say that. It says, in the need to have a well-regulated militia. We should, if you want to be a gun owner, join a militia, and then our government should regulate those militias. The militia should keep the guns, they should be locked up, you can use it for hunting or target practice or what you want. I mean, if we want to be having strict interpretations of the, the Constitution, we should start doing that. GOT.
Okay, let's go to Cenk first on this one. Cenk, excuse me. I'm still working on your name. Okay. Cenk, you have been... You told me...
C-E-N-K-U-Y-G-U-R. It's on the back.
Only you don't mind. Okay. You've been on Christy Smith quite a bit, and what you call the corrupt Democratic Party. So I want to see a show of hands for the other three. Do you all believe that the California Party, Democratic Party, is corrupt? Raise your hand.
I mean,
Can you repeat that question one more time?
Do you believe the California Democratic Party is corrupt?
Yes.
Yes.
I believe the whole Democratic establishment is corrupt. We need to change. Excuse me. That's what we need to change. We need to have someone that's going to represent us. Actually represent us. Our interests, Stephen. Not just somebody that's handpicked by the Democratic Party. We need to have a conversation on. You can't just say, this is who you pick, this is who you're going to vote for. We can't have that. What kind of democracy is it? Right. Myself, Anibal, and Cenk, they didn't even bother to even look at us.
Nope.
It wasn't a question. It's a slap in the face to us, it's a slap in the face to our constituents, and it's a slap in the face to democracy.
First of all, how many of you have actually reached out to any of the Democratic clubs in the 25th district?
You've actually been there. You've seen the treatment. They said, we reached out to your campaign. Oh, have you? I have an email, and the inbox doesn't show you an email in. It's that quick.
They say, hey, you know what? We already got who we're going to endorse. It's Christy Smith. The child. It's crap. You know Smith. I know everybody on here. Everybody on stage knows it. We'll see. If she care about a constituent, she can get on stage.
Christy Smith currently is actually in the assembly right now.
We invited her 4 different times. And we said, and all of us together, not just me, all of us together. And we said, anytime, anywhere, she's hiding. She's better talk about the issues. She's better talk about politics. It's not disrespecting us, guys. It's disrespecting you. I don't need you. She's telling you She does not need the voters. This is unbelievable. And by the way, all the Democratic, corrupt Democratic Party in California agrees with her.
I think we all feel the same.
I'm not defending her in any way. I'm telling you what she has said, and she is in the assembly right now. Now, you guys can interpret that any way you want.
I mean, I think she's in the assembly, but she didn't tell us she was going to be in the assembly. She doesn't schedule a different night. That's fine.
Let me go to my next question, guys. All right? I want to know, everybody here has just said that they think the Democratic Party here in California is corrupt. How are you going to work with the Democratic Party if you're calling it corrupt?
Let them know. So, Christy's team has said a number of lies about tonight's debate. All right, no problem. Anytime, anywhere. The Democratic Party, if they were not corrupt, would say she's disqualified. Right. Okay. Right. So what kind of an insult and entitlement complex says I don't have to speak to the voters? Woo! That's ridiculous. Right. And so how am I going to work with the Democratic Party? Are you kidding me? Look at all these Democratic voters. Yeah. Says we're not going to talk to any of you, and we don't even care what any of the voters think. We're going to make a decision in the back room. I'm not working with them, I'm fighting them, and I'm beating them.
I feel like we're like a football pepper. I mean, look, the Democratic Party, I mean, they take the Houston National, right? And last year we saw that the Democratic Party has blacklisted anybody who goes up in a primary against an incumbent. I mean, what kind of role is that? And this is what pisses me off about the way that Christy's running her campaign and the tone of it is that she's essentially saying that it's her seat and that she refuses to earn it, to come out and have a robust conversation about policies. I'm not saying that she might not be the best choice at the end of the day. I mean, I don't think she is, but it's up to you guys to decide that. And you're not going to be able to decide that unless you hear what she stands for, specifically with policies, not vague priorities, and not just getting those tweets about who's endorsing her. I mean, what's that?
So I'm just saying, what I'm saying, let's just at least have a conversation about it. They deserve a conversation about it. If she is the best candidate for this position, defend her position. That's all we're saying. We're not asking her to move mountains. Just defend your position.
That's not the question, though. I'm asking you if you're
I'm piggybacking off what Chris said.
The question is, if you call the California Democratic Party corrupt, how are you going to work with Democrats? Whether you
I don't work with somebody that's willing to work with me. I don't care what side of the aisle they're on. Find somebody that's willing to work with me so we can solve these issues. That's what we need to do. If I find somebody, if Anibal wants to work with me, fine. If Jake wants to work with me, fine. If Chris wants to work with me, fine. I don't even work across the aisle. If someone wants to work with me, fine. But let's do something to help the people here. Are you saying? To have another work with us here? That's insane.
That's not what I'm saying. Can you answer that question?
We all saw what happened to Bernie Sanders in 2016. Do you think anything's changed? No. So to answer your question, Stephen, the Democratic Party has issues. We need to fix those issues. Christy Smith, I'm sorry, but she's part of the problem. You don't become part of the problem. Okay? And that's just it. When you're part of the establishment, you feel like you have to make these backfield deals. You feel like you have to come out here and talk to the people from the Anibal Valley. I'm going to be very honest. The reason why this was organized, it was organized amongst all four candidates out here. Not like all four. And people like you will constantly say, when are we going to meet the candidates? When are we going to have a debate? There's so many of you. We want to make sure you guys are the right fit. You guys are going to be the right fit for the Anibal Valley, and we want to hear your voice. So, how do we work within the corrupt system? You don't become a part of the problem.
Okay. Here we go. Can I follow up on that real quick before we start? AOC, somebody who you supported Nancy Pelosi for Speaker, did she not? Did she not?
Only because there was the only other person available was more conservative and more pro-corporate. So that's a very important concept.
You want to follow up on that?
Yeah. So look, the corrupt Democratic leadership says, "Oh no, we got to keep this seat blue." Are you kidding me? Of course, we want to keep it blue. Who wants to give it back to a monster like Steve Knight? Nobody. Okay, that bootlicker voted with Donald Trump 99% of the time. So now Christy says she wants to keep everything blue. Well, that's weird because her own seat, she says, "I care so much about the community." She gave up her own seat. And who did she endorse? She endorsed Susan Christopher, who was a Republican until a couple of months ago. Right. Now, wait a minute. I thought you wanted to keep things blue. Why did you want to? Why are you doing Susan Christopher? Do you know she gave her $9,400? She maxed out to a Republican in her home seat. That's insane. That's insane. That's a Republican thing.
Again, I remind you, Pastor, please respect the time. All right, Anna, you want to comment on these 15 seconds?
I debated Steve Knight yesterday, and he's very proud of his record of working with Donald Trump. And I couldn't disagree with him more. He's very proud of his voting record, but I'm going to tell you what, you don't post your losses on Instagram and Facebook, and Steve Knight has a lot of them. He likes to talk about his record being voting with Trump 97% of the time. Yesterday, I called him out at the debate. I told him, this valley doesn't have big problems. It has things, it has people, it has solutions. He likes to look at the cup half empty. Look at everybody else here who's here on the debate. The vote is in 2 months, so there's a lot of work to do.
I don't know that. I mean, I got plans of Christy, but maybe we should talk about issues.
Thank you.
I mean, you're not wrong, but. Sorry, I didn't mean that as disrespectful.
New question, guys. Let's talk about some local issues for the 25th district. I'd like to know specifically what your thoughts are about the CEMEX situation and Santa Susana's cleanup. Let's start with Getro on that. You want to start with that? You want to talk about that? The cleanup of Santa Susana? I mean, go ahead.
I read the decision on CEMEX, and for anybody who doesn't know, it's a cement mix plant outside the 14th. Also familiar with the landfill in Santa Cruz. For those who don't know, that landfill would be the biggest in the United States. You know what's closely behind? The landfill right here in Palmdale. That's not a competition the Santa Clarita Valley or the Anibal Valley wants to win. Period. Why? Because it's right next door, there's health issues, and by the way, it's about the local communities here and how you guys can be affected. So, CEMEX, they did a lot of problems. They got caught. I read the legal decision. The reason why they got held up was because of the amount that they were going to be fined. This is a large corporation. What would happen if CEMEX says, you know what, we're okay with this fine, we'll pay it, and we'll keep destroying the environment? What would happen then? We would have another big problem. We would have something like the BP oil spill, except this is right down the street here on 14th. This isn't in the Gulf of Mexico, it's not in Alaska, it's right here locally. Also, with the gas leak in Santa Clarita, these corporations need to be held accountable. They can't be
CEMEX is not even an American company. It's a multinational corporation. Why do these guys run our government? It's insane. So nobody asked for them to come here. They say, oh, wait, you know, we got to support local industry. How many jobs do they create? Almost none. So in terms of the landfill, you know what happened, guys? We actually had them on the ropes as well. But then it turns out a supervisor had taken $5,000 from the company who operates the landfill, and she ruled, oh well, we're going to extend the landfill. Well, isn't that convenient? That's why money in politics is the #1 issue. So what happened with Valdez-Ortega? So we had the worst gas leak in American history. That happened in this district. And at the time, your so-called representative, Steve Knight, he came out and defended the company, not you guys. Oh, right. You want to know why? The parent company of the Elize Canyon facility is Sempra. Guess who Steve Knight took money from? Sempra. He took $16,000. Was it worth it, Steve?
So, I think that there's a larger issue here, and that is that what we see is a systematic deregulation of the EPA and our enforcement agencies that deal with a lot of these issues. And, I think whoever gets to Congress, if it's me, I'm going to make sure that we hold the administration accountable for making sure that the laws that we pass are being enforced every day. In addition to that, we need to fund our Superfund designation. The Superfund cleanup sites are poorly underfunded, and we need to designate more places. We need to expand that program. This is not just a problem here in El Valley, it's a problem everywhere. And you know what? It's a problem in Black and brown communities across this country. These are problems of environmental racism and environmental injustice, and that's not enough part of the conversation. The last thing I'd like to say is that we also need to look at how, it's going to take too long with the time. I'll leave it at that.
Judge, do you want to comment on that? Okay, all right. Cenk, this question is directly for you. And I'm worried about the other Turk fans out here that are going to...
Worry about it.
You used to say, don't shoot Steve. Yeah, yet even though you don't live in the district, you have raised the second highest in donations, okay? How much is that from the district itself? Do you know?
So about a quarter, actually over a quarter is from California. So I love this talking point.
From the district?
Yeah. So I'll look that up. I don't know, but I will look it up. So I love this talking point. So I raised $800,000, which is amazing. If I raised it from PACs and corporations and lobbies, it wouldn't be amazing at all. It'd be the easiest thing in the world. Hey, PAC, what would you like me to do? Corporation, what would you like me to do? Lobbies, what would you like me to do? Special interest, what would you like me to do? Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. That's how all the other politicians raise money. No, I got it from 30,000 donations. Yeah! So now they turn around and they say, oh, no, those are just regular people, but they're from all over the country. Your followers are too strong. You know what? And so, now, they say, oh, they're not from the district. Hey, are Christy Smith's corporate donors from the district? No! From the district. She's going to represent the donors. That's right.
Some could criticize if you're using your celebrity to walk in here and get elected based solely on your name recognition.
Yeah. All right.
Isn't that similar to the way Donald Trump was elected?
So guys, here's the. So they say, hey, Jay, you're a bit of a celebrity, thank you. How did I get that? Was I in Dancing with the Stars? Was I an athlete to you? I got it by fighting for progressive You have too many progressives and too many Democrats that love you for fighting for them for 18 years. Maybe you should have done that, and you would have had just as many people backing you. That is the only reason why I am known. I'm known for being a progressive fighter that says, get the money out of politics. They're known for their corruption, for their lobbyists, for their donors, and they have the audacity to turn around and insult progressives, both in this district and all across the country. Don't you dare let them do that.
These are questions that don't answer themselves. This one's for Anibal.
Wait, can we do your responses? Doing your responses?
Do you want to respond to that? I'll give you 15 seconds to respond to your question.
Okay, well, and, Cenk, I respect everything you've done, so with all due respect, but I think, this is one thing I've learned from this process is that how are teachers or single mothers or any average person, like the rest of us on that stage, going to run when we don't have 4 million followers on, the Young Turks, and we don't have a celebrity backing. And I respect that those are all grassroots donations, I really do, but it's not exactly a level playing field.
All right. Go ahead, I'll give 15 seconds.
Actually, Chris is right. It's not fair. So the real answer isn't that I have more money than them, and Christy has more money than me, and how boots did Steve Knight and Mike Garcia link to get their PAC money, etc. The real answer, guys, is public financing of the does it sound like anybody's going to be able to stop me from fighting for and getting public financing?
Here's your question. You have identified yourself obviously as a progressive Democrat. Have you always been a Democrat? Have you always been registered as a Democrat in your entire life? And either way, why are you a Democrat now?
No. I grew up in Anibal. In fact, the first year that I could vote, I was in high school. I had just turned 18, and I made probably the worst voting mistake of my life. I voted for Bush. And I voted every single day. So no, that's your question now. But I've always been independent. After that, I realized you can't call for the compassionate conservative. Those are labels. Those are corporate labels. People who walk in or mean anything. I vote on the issues. And that's why you guys are all here today, so you can look at the candidates. Who do I believe in? What issues do they stand for? The people who are actually here, not the ones who say that they weren't invited but actually won. It's about looking at a candidate in the eye. It's about looking at a candidate in the eye and saying yes or no. And so that's how simple it is. So, no, I made a huge mistake when I was 18, but I regret it. I moved on. I'm a Democrat now, proud to be from the Anibal Valley, just like you guys. I understand that the Anibal Valley is a very purple district. A lot of people here are Republicans, and that's what makes me different. I can reach across the aisle. It's not about the party, it's about the person, it's about the issue.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I think the question is only how it is. So when it comes to the 9th day of the 18-year-old registration. Christopher, I have to show you after Christopher. Considering the similarity in names, you can answer that question, okay? Why are you running for this district specifically? Some have said this is a publicity stunt on your behalf to do a documentary about being a candidate. Are you doing that?
I tried, but it turns out that this takes a lot of time, so I stopped filming a while ago. And part of that was to reveal exactly how hard it is to actually run for office. Nobody makes it easy. So the only people who can do it are, rich people, people who are career politicians and celebrities, and, people who have staff. Now, the reason that I'm running for this district, I'll be perfectly frank with you, I mentioned that I wanted to get involved, and I definitely did. And when Katie Hill resigned, I was pissed off about it, like a lot of people were, not so much because of what she did or didn't do, but more because of the double standard of the whole thing. But the real reason is that when I looked at who was running, and it was a very brief window where we could consider whether or not to run, the only person who was even being talked about at the time was Christy Smith. None of these people had entered yet. You did soon after. So I jumped in because I wanted this district to have options between progressives all over, but progressives in this district to have an option to vote for somebody who had people, this is great, finish this real quick, who represented the values that they had. And the simple fact of the matter is we're never going to make this district nothing more than a moderate district if we don't stand out and boldly advocate for these values, and that's what I wanted to do.
All right, this question is going to go directly to you, Getro, but I'm going to just let all four of you answer this, starting with Chris, because he brought it up, kind of brought it up here a little bit. Because I saw your video on your website, very nicely done. but it's never specific about this district. I would like to know, very specifically.
There's lots of imagery from this district.
Well, yes, I saw that. But what is it you want to bring to this district, specific? What is it that you want to do for this district? Give me 60 seconds.
Sure. I mean, I think that you get this question a lot, but I think that the problems facing this district are actually the same problems we're facing every district, which is lack of quality health care, lack of good jobs, and environmental issues like climate change. But if we're going to narrow it down to this one, I mean, I think we're looking at climate change with forest fires here every day. We're talking about how most of this district is dependent on 1 or 2 industries at the most. We need to diversify what kinds of industries are here, and we need to do that, or we could do that through reducing our expenditure on defense spending, which I know is a big industry there, but slowly using that money to incentivize companies to come here. And you know what? That's going to be a lot easier to do because we're cutting out these companies that are raking in massive profits of that defense industry, and instead giving it directly to people to get to work. In the meantime, doing conservation projects both here and around the country to both bring in green new technologies and green new infrastructure, but also repair the crumbling infrastructure we already have. We can use that money from defense and give it directly to workers and put them to work. We can do that here. That's my point.
Repeat the question again, please. What would you do specifically for this district? What do you want to do as a congressperson to help this district? It's very specific.
Very specific. First, I want to address this homelessness because and we need to target that issue. We need to treat it as a humanitarian crisis. We need to ask for federal emergency and say, hey, you know what? We have people out here dying on the street. So, secondly, I want to bring economic growth. We need jobs here. I don't know how many people here have to get in their car, take the 14 freeway, wake up 4:30 in the morning, take the 14 freeway, 2 hours on the road, 2 hours coming back, and you spend 20 hours a week on the road. That's insane. That's insane. What else I want to do is I want to bring infrastructure expansion. We can have places like Acton and Lake LA and Gorman and things like that that are rural areas. How can emergency services respond to somebody if we don't have roads repaired? Okay? And I want to do another thing I want to touch on is I want to cancel student loan debt. Show of hands if anyone here has student loan debt. It is crushing you. Just be honest with you. It is crushing you. And what I want to do is I want to eliminate it. Just get rid of it. I want to bypass the bureaucracy, the federal government, put money back in people's pockets so that they are in charge of how they funnel that money back into the economy, and not the federal government.
I think it's really simple. You educate the future. How many times have we talked about? Getro University and then Valley College. I have to leave the Anibal Valley to get my education over the hill. You know how I know there's a problem? Because all you see is red lights going into LA, and you don't see any white lights coming this way. Why? Because there aren't enough jobs here. Why is that? I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, I have my offices in downtown, I have a local office here as well. Why aren't people coming to the Anibal Valley for work? Why? Because locals like you here having enough of a hard time finding a job here. What do we have here in the Anibal Valley? We have land, we have a lot of sunshine, we have a lot of wind, and we have you, people who are willing to work. Why is it that people here in the Anibal Valley have 1, 2, 3 jobs, and sometimes even roommates to pay the rent, to pay the mortgage, to pay the car note, to drive for Uber, to drive for Lyft? Why? We have the people capacity, we have the opportunity, and the 14th, it's a mess. We need to expand it or make the 2 lanes going this way northbound open in the morning going southbound. Because our God, we're not going to do it.
This district is America. So when you got the Santa Susana Field Laboratory leaking radioactive material into the water of Simi Valley, but your representative takes money from Boeing and lets them get away with it, I gotta fix that for you. Because I can't have that going into the water for the kids or for anyone. We got a shooting in Salisbury High School, like we got shootings all across the country. And we have got to end the bribery that the NRA does to buy off all of our politicians, otherwise our kids aren't safe. You got homelessness out of control in this district as you have all across California. Why? People, including our opponent, takes tens of thousands of dollars from real estate interests. So what do? She voted against a rent cap. Well, the problem is we don't have affordable housing. We need affordable housing. Look at climate change, guys. We've got fires all across the district. Meanwhile, the Antelope Valley's perfect for solar and wind energy. We can bring high-paying jobs and help fix the planet. This place is perfect. This is America, and we can actually help if we're honest and uncorrupted.
We're getting close to the end of this, I believe, and we're supposed to wrap up at 8. Is that right?
Everyone should have watched.
I think we keep going.
We keep going, guys?
Run a while!
If we keep going, maybe Christy will show up.
Well played.
Let's start with Cenk again, about Medicare for All, because I know you are dying to talk about it. Are you completely against the possibility of a public option?
Yes.
And what is your vision of what Medicare for All would look like? For example, there are people like myself who like my private insurance. So, can you respond to that?
Yeah. Really great question. So first of all, guys, really important to know that a public option is dramatically different than Medicare for All. In a public option, you still pay co-pays, premiums, and deductibles. And if you don't have it, you die. I'm not kidding. 45,000 people a year die because they don't have insurance in this system. And if you have a public option, it doesn't fix it at all. The only thing that gives you universal health care coverage is Medicare for All. So when you see a lot of Democrats, when you see a lot of Democrats pay lip service to health care as a human right, yeah, what are you doing about it? You're not doing anything about it unless you're fighting for universal health care coverage, and the only thing that does that is Medicare for All. And Stephen, Medicare for All is better insurance than any private insurance plan out there right now. How do I know? I asked one of its biggest opponents, Senator Bennett from Colorado, and I said to him, hey, wait, you say you get rid of private insurance, but wouldn't you have better insurance? He said, oh yeah, that's right. Medicare for All is a Cadillac plan. He said it's, quote, awesome. You get better insurance and it costs less. The only reason not to do it is if you get paid off by the private insurance company.
See how that goes. All right, your vision for Medicare for All, and would you support a public option?
You have to understand that healthcare is a human right, just like education. We, in this room here, everyone has gotten sick. Part of being human is, guess what? We will get sick. It is not fair for corporations, big pharmaceutical, and big insurance to say, no, we're going to artificially increase the price on healthcare, on drugs, and on medical treatment. Too many times in this district, I've talked to people and say, I can't afford my insulin. I have people in this district who share insulin vials. Think about that for a second. For a second. People who have diabetes in a household have to measure and take smaller doses so that they don't pass out or die. Then you have people from Canada who come down and say, what in the world are you guys doing in the United States?
Right.
We have people from this district to get on flights to go to Canada to get treatment and fly back down because it's cheaper. Think about that for a second, what we could be doing here. The richest country in the world is being dominated by big corporate, big pharma, and insurance. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that expensive.
I do support Medicare for All. I actually work in the field of Medicare, you know, and I work with public services. So, people have concerns about Medicare, about what we're going to do about Medicare and how we're going to pay for it. Screw paying for it. Screw think about paying for it, okay? What we need to do is address the issue that people get sick, like Anibal said. It's not a matter of time, it's not a matter of if you get sick, but when you get sick. And how we're going to pay for it. We shouldn't have to worry about that, okay? With Medicare for All, like I said, I work in that particular industry, and I turn people away every day because they can't go see a doctor because, you know, they just can't afford it. But it's a tough issue. It's a tough issue, Stephen. I mean, do I support a public option? No, I do not. I do not. But it's not about the cost. It's about, for me, it's about how we get there. You know, it's going to be how long is the migration time? I mean, or how are we going to build hospitals and things like that. That's what people are more worried about. It isn't about the cost. It's about how much time it's going to take for us to do it. I agree with Cenk. Everyone has a right to health care. I don't want to see sick people. You know how much money we lose a year? We lose $65 billion to $100 billion a year just of lost economic productivity. Okay? That's a lot of money. If you want to think about it on an economic scale.
That's the thing, I guess. So I have a chronic illness. Luckily, it's not so bad. But I also was on Medi-Cal about a year ago, and it's not surprising documentaries don't pay a lot. But you know, and when I was a kid, my dad was in the military, so I was raised in, believe it or not, socialized medicine. And you know what? We loved it. We loved it. It was amazing. It was a great program. And if we can do it for the military families, why can't we do it for the rest of our country? Now, the simple fact of the matter is that, you know, Medicare for all, like, we're going to save a lot of money through different efficiencies and from limiting the profits of these, you know, multinational corporations and healthcare, like medical device manufacturers, things like that, who are gouging insurance companies. And when we take out that middleman, we're going to save a ton of money. In addition to that, I would just like to say that while I favor Medicare for all, I'm going to follow where the numbers take us. And if there's no way to do that without making it insolvent, then obviously I'm going to support anything that gives health care for people, because there's too many people dying right now. And we're going to figure out how to do that, and we're going to figure out how to do that in the future. I do support Medicare for all. That's my first choice. That's clear.
30 seconds to each person.
So, our opponent, Christy Smith, took $1,500 from United Health. That's the largest insurance company in the world. And so, look, even if you're a supporter of hers, it's a simple question. Look, how do we know you actually don't like Medicare for all, and you're against Medicare for all, and against universal health care, or if you got paid to have that position? So it's very, very simple. Why don't you just give it back? Then we'll know that that's your real position. But until then, we don't know if you got paid to be against Medicare for all, or you genuinely just don't want people to have it. Give it back.
I'm tired of hearing people say, oh, it's going to be too expensive, let's see if we can make it work. What we're doing at that point is we're gambling people's lives. Let's be very clear. We're saying, this is too expensive, we don't think we can make it work. Meanwhile, what did Wall Street just get? The biggest bailout ever. What did the auto industry get? The biggest bailout ever. Now, when I say it's going to be too expensive, I think back, are we complaining about Social Security now? How many people have Social Security? Everybody. The same thing people said about Social Security. It won't work, it's too expensive. Guess what? It's working. You need to fund it, and you need to make it work now.
Let me take an informal poll real quick from the audience. Based on the Trump tax cuts, how many people here paid more last year? You might want to answer by applause or just...
Small businesses.
Well, Reverend Steve Knight claims that they benefit more people. Okay. So my question, we'll go right down here for a minute for each one of you. Are you concerned about the deficit? Because right now, Trump's tax cuts increased the deficit to $984 billion in 2019. This puts a strain on our creditors, directly relates to the economy, especially small businesses. What would you cut? And please do not say you will tax the rich or corporations. What are the other alternatives?
Why not? Why not? Tax them.
Because that's the answer we always get. Let's start with Christopher.
Great, excellent question. You know, I think that the number one thing is we fundamentally don't understand as a public, you know, really what the impacts of the large deficit are. But not getting into it, I would say that, you know, yes, the deficit is growing out of control, and yes, I support reducing it. And, you know, the number one way that we're going to do that is, A, by rescinding these Trump tax cuts. That is the biggest thing I've had forever. But, you know, generally speaking, I think what we need to do is, I'm sorry to disagree with you, Stephen, but we really need to put a tax on the wealthy. And addition to that, you know, I think like we need to increase the manufacturing and the jobs that we have here in the U.S. and we need to build, you know, reliable and green jobs for the future and stop, you know, importing and creating more of a trade deficit with all these other countries.
Let's go down and each person answer the question. But just for the record, just to let the audience know, it's not that I'm opposed to taxing the rich or corporations or anything. I'm all for it. But that is an answer that has been given by almost every friggin' politician for the past 50 years.
It's very different, Stephen. That's the difference.
Why is it that they get a tax break and we don't?
They get $2 trillion.
Why is that we get $2 trillion? Americans here need a brace.
I'm not arguing with you on that. I'm asking you, there are other numbers. It seems like no one can get that done. So I'm asking you.
That's why they
Jake's ready.
I'm just a bit upset that we can give away trillions of dollars, but we can't feed poor people. We can give away trillions of dollars, but we can't house people. We can get trillions of dollars. What? I'm not giving away billions of trillions of dollars to the wealthy to get them another yacht or buy their 15th home in another country or something like that.
You can also stop bombing other countries.
And stop bombing other countries. Why are we doing it?
Hey, how are we going to pay for the war?
The reason why I'm running is I want to give you a break. You know, it's about time that you get it.
The reason why everybody says you got to tax the rich and the corporations because we all know that's the right thing to do. And here's the difference is talk's cheap and the outright BS what. That's the difference. So you need a politician, unlike Steve Knight, and unlike the ones we've had for the last 15, 20 years, who will put their name to it and say, I'm going to tax the corporations. I'm not going to let these offshore havens. Go to my website, Valdez-Ortega for Congress. Minimum 10% corporate tax. Doesn't matter. Why? Because if they paid a minimum of 10%, which anybody in this room would kill for, by the way, we would fund education, we would fund healthcare, you guys would have better access to food, pharmaceuticals, and college. So, that's what we're going to do. We need to in Washington, in Sacramento, and right here on Lancaster and Palmdale Boulevard, who will stand by. Now, that's the easy part, right? The hard part is, why are we bombing all these other countries like I said? Why are we spending all this money? Let's get rid of that, all that, some of that stuff.
So you asked what would I cut? Easy. I cut the wars. I would make sure we do not attack Iran. And so when we ask for health care for our kids and education for our kids, all of the Republicans, the corporate Democrats, and the millionaire news anchors say, how are you going to pay for that? But when we're talking about bombing Iran and costing us another couple of $1 trillion, they never ask how you're going to pay for that. They can ask for the rest. They say, are we going to re-raise the taxes on corporations? Hell yes we are. But we just gave $1.9 trillion in tax cuts to the multinational corporations and to the richest people in the country. The top 1% got 83% of that $2 trillion. Don't you dare ask us how we're going to pay for things that help actual American citizens. It's time.
It's funny that, you know, we go to war and like Jake said, they don't bat an eye. They don't bat an eye when we're bombing another country, bombing some farmer out in Afghanistan. You know, they don't bat an eye. But the instant we talk about taking care of people, how do we pay for it? How do we can't do that. We can't do that. These people have to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. Guess what? I don't have any bootstraps to pull up. Okay?
I think there are two things that we should really look at in our country. One, I think we need to raise the quote-unquote death tax because that's the most aggressive tax in the country. Second thing is we need to consider moving to a VAT tax like the rest of the civilized world.
All right, I just want to ask Shane one thing real quick. You just said you would stop the war from happening with Iran. Okay, Donald Trump can pick up the phone today, right now, and start that war. What are you going to do to stop it from happening?
Okay, great question, Steve. Okay, so let me answer. So, in the defense authorization bill that we just went through, we had a chance to negotiate with the Republicans. Now, I know we weren't going to get everything we wanted, because currently the Republicans do control the Senate, right? But did we negotiate? No. Pelosi and Democratic leadership and Hoyer gave away the House. So we asked for two things in that bill. Ro Khanna had a bill that said you have to come to Congress before you attack Iran. Well, then it would have been illegal for Donald Trump to attack Iran. But Pelosi and Democratic leadership said, no, we're not here to resist Donald Trump. She took it out of the bill. And then Barbara Lee said you need to actually get rid of the authorization of the use of military force that we had in Iraq. It doesn't make sense anymore. Two wonderful progressives. Nancy Pelosi, Democratic leadership said, no, we do not resist Donald Trump. We give him everything he wants. And then people ask me why I'm not in favor of just following the orders of Democratic leadership. We had every chance to stop Donald Trump. And by the way, we still do. Why don't we go and vote on those bills right now in the House?
There's a famous quote that says, when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. How many people have seen that Twitter from Trump saying Obama was going to cause war with Iran and Afghanistan? What did Trump just do? He went and he killed a general, which by the way, he's a bad guy, probably deserved it, maybe not in that matter, in a foreign country. Right before he's being impeached, right before the election.
Without congressional approval.
Without a congressional approval, which today and yesterday, now they're saying, no, you have to come to Congress. But guess what? That shouldn't have ever happened to begin with. So we've got to be very clear what he's doing. He's got to be stopped. The Senate and the congressional district here needs to stop him.
We keep talking about Trump. And I thought one of the more interesting moments when I last talked to Katie Hill was that we should talk about actually meeting Donald Trump face to face. And so I'm curious, if you are in Congress, regardless of where you are, you know, I mean, as far as being a Democrat and what people think of you or whatever, I mean, if you have a chance to, in all seriousness, no like, oh, go screw yourself, whatever, what would you say in 25 words or less to Donald Trump? And we'll start with Andre's hand first.
Well, I'd be sure to talk really slowly. One, he doesn't read, so maybe I'll bring like a picture book and just kind of flip through it slowly. But I would really look him in the face and say, what in the world are you doing? What makes you think it's okay to put babies in cages? What makes you think it's okay to tax people here, like in the Anibal Valley, and let corporations, CEOs get away with everything? What makes you think putting your son-in-law in charge of everything is a good idea? And I don't expect answers on any of those things, by the way. It's not that easy to understand them. But as part of representing the people here, being part of your congressman, I would hold them accountable. I don't think an answer. But you know what? That is more than what his congressional representatives are doing. That's more than what his Senate cohort is doing, and that we can take it to the bank.
Repeat that again. If you had an opportunity to actually speak to Donald Trump in all seriousness, instead of just saying "screw you, Donald," what would you say to him?
Why are you sacrificing innocent American lives? Just because they're not kids doesn't mean that they're disposable. That's it for me.
I'm going to take a page out of Greta Thunberg and just say, how dare you? How dare you lock up kids in cages? How dare you stoke racism in our country? How dare you weaken our institutions? How dare you, damage our credibility abroad? I mean, there's so many things. I mean, obviously, I'd probably think about it for a week. And then I'll probably say something and then leave like, shh, I should have said that thing.
So, guys, the Democratic leadership is handling Trump wrong. They keep saying he's a monster, but we all already know that. And for his voters and supporters like Papadopoulos and Garcia and Knight, that's not the bug, that's the feature. That's what they like about him. They like that he's a racist. They like that he's a bigot. So you keep reinforcing that. No, the correct way to undercut him is to talk about what a loser he is. And I mean it. It's not just a feel good, guys. So if you ask him about his 6 bankruptcies, then the whole country goes, oh my God, he went bankrupt 6 times? I thought he was a successful businessman. It turns out he's an idiot. I would ask him what I've already asked him to challenge him publicly on. Look, Donald, you and I went to the same school. We went to Wharton. Your daddy got you in. I earned it. So you are hiding your transcripts. That is true. He's hiding his transcripts at every level. So I'm challenging you, Donald. I'll give you a lot of money if you have better grades than me. Now, what does that do? What does that do? It puts him on the spot. And it makes the whole country go, why is he hiding his grades? I thought he was smart. Right. Oh, it turns out he's an idiot.
How much money will you give if he'll put out his grades?
Yeah, first of all, the chance that he had better grades than me is less than 0. My grades are public, so he could just get the money right now. But he doesn't. He threatens to sue anyone who tries to go after his transcripts. You know who does that? Someone who had terrible grades. He's a spoiled little brat. And his dad got him into every school and out of every ward. Commander Bosfors doesn't get to attack the road.
We've got obviously a lot of progressives in the audience. I think it's awesome.
Fired up!
A lot of what we've seen tonight with all of you is a mutual agreement on a lot of, with some differences here and there on things, but most of the ways we're in agreement on a lot of the policies and ideas here. What I'd like to hear, starting from Christopher, is how are you different? If I'm walking into the ballot, with my ballot, why do I pick you over any of these other 3 progressives?
Great question. And Josh, I'm sorry, I don't know as much about you, and a little bit more about you.
That's fine.
Yeah. I think for me, I seek to, this has been kind of a rowdy thing that we've had here tonight and all fired up, but generally speaking, I'm running a pretty, in my opinion, trying to run an inspirational and more a campaign about increasing the Big Tent in the Progressive Party, and a little less about, calling people out, and there has been some of that with Christy and lately, but, I think really at the end of the day, it's about tone, and it's about understanding where the people are coming from and treating everybody with compassion and going about things in a way where we increase the small growing tent of progressivism in this country and show that our way is better, but not, but while being firm and holding people accountable, but also, reaching out and acknowledging we have differences and including everybody at the table as stakeholders.
There should be what separates us and what actually brings us together is accountability. We currently have a government right now that doesn't want to be held accountable for anything. But when people go to the ballot box, we actually start thinking about what our interests are. We want jobs, just like everyone else. We want to take care of our kids, just like everyone else. We want access to health care, just like everybody else. But what we want to do is who's going to best represent us to do that.
What makes you different than the other 3 here?
Well, I'm from the district.
Yeah!
I was raised here. I went to Somerville Hill, Lancaster. I went to Mesa and Palmdale. I went to Fort Sill and Fort Sill. And I went to Anibal College. So, if I was familiar, that's probably why. But I'm not a celebrity. No offense. I don't have an audience that I have to put up a front for. I'm not going to raise over $1 million. The money that I fundraise, guess what? Came out of my pocket. All right? I had money to buy a house. True story. I had money to buy a house. Took the money out of escrow. Said, no, I'm going to invest. I'm going to give you my best shot. Because that's what we do here in Anibal. We're the underdogs, always. Why? You look down the hill. Why are the corporations over there? Why are the jobs over there? You need to be human. It's that so why is that? I don't kowtow to all these Republicans. I don't kowtow to Big Pharma. These guys are all great. But guess what? There's a difference between being from here and having to read the Wikipedia page to learn about you guys.
So obviously the biggest difference is not between us, but between us and the person that didn't show up. One, we showed up. She's in the conservative wing of the Democratic Party. She's against Medicare for all, and she finances her campaign through corporate contributions. That is all the difference in the world. Now, as to why me, as opposed to the other good folks here. Number one, I have the resources to fight Steve Knight and anyone else in the race. They're right, as I said earlier, it's not fair. We should have public financing. Everyone should have the same money and the same battlefield, and I guarantee you that I will. I have the resources to fight back thanks to all those wonderful progressives across the country. But that's not all. I also start a wolf pack and get money out of politics. We can do that. Pragmatic reasons. You do it through public pressure. We would have never gotten the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, if Martin Luther King had not put public pressure on Lyndon Johnson.
I think we're going to wrap up here. I'm going to put my kid to bed, guys.
Can I just reply to the district councilor from mine? Obviously, like me and Jake, you live in the district?
Yes, I actually do.
Okay. So obviously, Jake and I get the nudge from the district thing, and I feel like, that's a really good argument, and I think that my answer to that has always been, it's up to the voters to decide whether living 15 miles outside of the district is more important to you than someone who's going to represent you and your values and life. And I think that there's something to be from the district, and you learn a lot, and you meet a lot of people. That doesn't, but our districts, it's like, it's an imaginary boundary that's redrawn every 10 years based on political considerations. And while there is a uniqueness to this district that I love and I appreciate and I've fallen in love with from campaigning here in the last few months and from all the times that I've been out there hiking and doing other things, at the end of the day, we're in this like a larger community. And the fact that Christy's from Santa Clarita. She lives further from here than I live from the district. And she's supposed to be able to represent Lancaster and Palmdale, but for some reason, somebody from Los Angeles can represent. It's like, and I respect people who vote for that reason. And that is a great reason if that's how you feel. But I kind of feel like this day and age, when we're talking about federal offices, we need to be thinking about like who can make the most change.
We all have great intentions for our district, and we want somebody that's going to represent us, because we have our kids here. We support the businesses here. We want to see this community grow, and all honesty, every candidate here should have a shot to do that. We have Hillary Clinton 2.0 decided not to show up, but what we can actually do in our district, we all have great ideas. And it should be shared on a platform for everyone to make that decision. And like Jen said, we should have, like I said, our platform, broadcasted everywhere. Unfortunately, I don't have TYT, big fan though. We should have someone that's progressive and someone that is going to represent the district. And we should have someone that's going to say, hey, I understand where you're coming from. You want to have representation, and any one of us can do that.
You know what? I'm just going to say this real quick. The reason I'm here tonight, I've gotten a lot of flack from some people in Santa Clarita about appearing here tonight. I want to just say this very clearly. Anyone who steps up, puts their name on a ballot, deserves recognition. At least introduce ideas. That's why I'm here. I honestly haven't decided who I'm going to vote for yet. But
I just want to say that everybody, we should give Steven a huge round of applause. You know, he's been a long time contributor to the community, and he's been a very personal, you know, I mean, a lot of people on Twitter that's been going on behind the scenes, but it was an act of courage for him to moderate this debate. And I
Neutral territory, actually.
Yeah, it's an honor of Katie, actually. But let's talk purple for just a second, and then we're going to do one little fun thing, and then we'll do closing remarks. Now, I'm assuming the candidates are wanting to stay around a little bit to talk to some of the people out here. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah! Questions, and the audience can talk to them after the debate. As a purple district, it's a very strange situation with the voters out here. As Hillary Clinton won over Donald Trump, but Steve Knight won over Brian Taforia. As progressives in a purple district, how are you going to get the votes of those people that are moderates, that are concerned about too left-wing or being socialist, as they've been we're claiming about Katie Hill? Let's start with Cenk on that.
Yeah.
60 seconds.
Okay, so there's a couple things here, guys. First of all, there's a misunderstanding about this district. The demographics have changed here. So it's not like people were Republicans and they thought, oh, you know what, I really like Hillary Clinton, I'm going to vote for her this time. No, it's different people that are here now. And so people misunderstand it politically. So this is actually going to be a Democratic win. Hillary Clinton won by 7 points, Katie won by 9 points. So Democrats are going to pick up this seat. But secondly, they misunderstand politics. They say, oh, I'm going to get Republicans to vote for me. No, you're not. Okay, the MAGA guys are always going to vote for Trump. You're not going to out-Trump Trump. But what you can do is win over independents. But independents are not moderates. Independents don't like either party. I've gone knocking on doors in every town, in every area in this district. And when I run into an independent, they always say they're going to vote for me. Why? Because I tell them I'm going to get money out of politics, and they go, yes! Yes, I'm tired of it. And I come to the time that I can go to parties. If we had a strong person who's a progressive to get money out of politics, we'll win the Democrats and the independents.
This is a purple district because there are a lot of Republicans, there's a lot of moderates, there's a lot of independents, and there's a lot of Democrats. The way you win in a purple district is by being able to do that and reach across the aisle and say, look, we may not agree on all things, but we agree on the important things. And in this district, what are those important things? We have a graduation rate and a college attendance rate. College, low 20%. That's not going to be enough for the public. It's not going to be enough for the future. And both sides, regardless of where you stand, have kids. Both sides, regardless of where you stand, know that. So how do you reach them and say, look, we need to create opportunities? It's not an issue about converting those people who wear those silly red hats. Those guys are done. They know how they're going to vote. It's about how everybody else is going to vote. And you reach them by being honest, by looking them in the eye and saying, look, when I tell you I'm going to do this, it's because I'm going to do it, not because I'm taking corporate money, not because I'm taking special interest money, but because I know what's best for the district. Because I've gone door to door, because I've had friends die in the wars, I've had family members fight and come back and they told me, it's really bad over there. And that's regardless of which party you are. So to win this district, a very purple district, you have to be able to talk, you have to be able to walk the walk, look people in the eye and say, when I'm going to deliver this, I'm going to deliver it for you. Yeah.
This is a very purple district, like Anibal said. But one thing people appreciate is honesty. You know, we're not idiots, obviously. Like you said, but it's going to be very hard to convert a Republican if he's, you know, if he's a diehard maggot. Yeah, we need to come up with solutions that we can honestly work on. You know, we want jobs just like somebody that's Republican. We want health care just like somebody that's Republican and an independent. We want these things, and there's no reason why we can't achieve these things. Let's work on issues that we can work on. Let's work on issues that say, hey, you know what? You have a job. I know somebody that's giving you a job. I know somebody that can give you health care. You know, these are things that we all can work on. But like you said, it's a very purple district, and it's going to be very hard to convince somebody that's in Acton, in a rural area, or in Gorman, or parts of Saugus and Santa Clarita I mean, those are Republican red areas. You know, but you have to be practical with them. You have to understand that, hey, this is what's going on. This is what you have to. This is what you're going to lose if you don't. No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, yeah, I think the way that we're gonna to get progressives to win here, it may not happen this time. Well, first off, let me just say that Cenk said what I wanted to say. Cenk. Ani said what I wanted to say. Getro said what I wanted to say. I think they're all right. But the other way is that we're gonna get it by having people like us run in every single election. And we need to show people what's possible before they actually realize, like, hey, it is possible. Let's take a chance on this. I'd also say that I think that people think that Donald Trump won the election, Hillary Clinton lost the election. People don't want to vote for people who are Well, I think people want to vote for people who are exciting and people who are authentic and people who say what we all think, and they get up there and they're not going to sell you some bullshit. Instead, what they're going to say is they're going to be like, look, yeah, we might need to raise taxes in some cases, but you know what you're going to get for it instead? You're going to get people not dying in the streets. You're going to get, people, your aunt who's suffering from cancer gets kicked off her insurance. She's going to go and get insurance, Like, we need to, these policies are popular, and we need to not run away from them. We need to boldly stand behind them, and we need to advocate for them in every district, in every city in this country, and that's how progressives win in purple districts. May not be this election, but it's going to be the next one.
And I agree with Chris, like you said, I'm going to make this really short. Just keep the pressure on them. Just keep the pressure on the people in this district. Just keep it on every step, every election, every ballot. We have to knock on doors, convince people, say, hey, you know what? We have more to lose if we keep this administration in office.
All right, I have a fun little question for you. We'll do 20 seconds for this one, 15 seconds, I guess, because it's nice and easy. Donald Trump has a habit of coming up with cute little pet nicknames for everybody. Shifty Shift, Crazy Nick Birdie, etc., etc. Moscow Bitch. Moscow Bitch. If elected, what do you think Donald Trump's nickname is going to be for you?
I never thought about that. Everybody should take time to think about it for yourself. It's got to have alliteration, so it's probably going to be something along the lines of
Speechless Chistopher.
Can I come back at the end?
None, because it's not that stupid.
I don't want to bring the ideas. I think he comes up with nicknames himself, but I think probably something that rhymes with my name. Anibal, probably. And it's got to be silly and stupid for him to say anyway.
Here's what he's going to call me. Trump Slayer.
I didn't come up with a name.
Just to clarify things tonight, who put on this debate? Does anybody want to answer that question specifically? Who is paying for this debate happening?
I'll fill this one. So, basically, the way this all came about, for full transparency, is that at a meeting, a local group meeting, Ani and I and Cenk's campaign manager all were there, and we talked about them wanting to do debates and how Christy was avoiding it. And so we kind of discussed amongst ourselves how best to do that. And you weren't there, or else we would have included you as well. And so we basically just kind of picked a range of dates that we thought we wanted to be in a certain time frame given the election. And then we came together. Anibal drafted a memo. Cenk's campaign helped out with finding the venue, which was free. None of us paid for it. The only thing The only thing that's paid for, I believe, is this stage which we're splitting it equally.
$27.
$27.
Investment by Jay, Anibal, Christopher, and Getro, $27 each, correct? That is the only expense for this debate that's been put on, is that correct?
That's correct. Once we had that, we sent it in various different ways to Christy's campaign. 3 emails or 4 emails, and I personally myself put it in the mailbox. Apparently there was controversy because I didn't address it to Assembly Woman Christy Smith. I was rushing, I had somewhere to be. I apologize for that. I didn't mean any disrespect. Not that she's been very respectful of me, but I believe politics can be higher order than that. But all that aside, we also sent it to Getro.
Yeah, I'm smart.
Every other person who was on the official registered Secretary of State ballot. And so it wasn't, we weren't trying to take advantage of Christy or make it on the night she couldn't make it. We offered a range of dates. We said, if this doesn't work for you, please get back to us with a date that does. And then if the last one was like, well, it's too late to change the date, we hope you show up. If not, tell us about the next one. None of us have heard any communication from our campaign on this.
To be very clear, the BS that we didn't reach out to them, we have receipts, we have emails, anything who wants
Let's wrap things up, guys. I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes for closing remarks, okay? We'll start with Jane. 2 minutes.
So, from the second that I entered this race, Christy Smith said, you're not allowed to run. And a lot of the Democratic leadership in this state said, you're not allowed to run. Well, that's not how democracy works. Right. And they said, well, she's already been handpicked. Well, I wasn't in that room, and you weren't in that room. And so, it is terribly disrespectful to the voters to do that. Right. And that is not how democracy works. Now, look, I've actually experienced this a couple times in my life. In a lot of ways, I'm an outsider. I'm an immigrant. I came to this country when I was 8 years old. I didn't know any English at all. And I remember a couple of weeks in, I got up in the middle of the night and I started crying. I'm a kid. And my dad came out, put his arm around me and said, well, what's wrong? I said, I thought we were visiting. I didn't know I wasn't going to see my family and friends again. And I remember then being in junior high, and a friend of mine's sister came up and said to him, why do you hang out with that kid? He doesn't wear the right clothes. I could hear it. She said, he doesn't wear the right clothes, and he's not one of the cool kids. So it's true, I am an outsider. I've been an outsider my whole life. But guess what, guys? You're outsiders too.
Yes, we are.
And there are more of us than there are of them. And so the cool kids have had their private little clubs and their backroom deals my whole life and your whole life. And they never invited you in. The one place that's not supposed to work that way is in a democracy. In a democracy, you get to decide. And so don't ever let them take that away from you. So I'm asking you to look at who is going to represent you best. Who is going to represent you and not the donors and not any other politician that they owe favors to. So please get out there and realize if we unite and we are together, us outsiders have more power than them. And this time we win.
I want to first thank all of you for coming out on a school night, staying 30 minutes, 35 minutes afterwards to see some of the fellow candidates who are up here. It's always great to discuss ideas. Again, democracy dies when we don't have this conversation with people who you want to elect as your leadership and people who want real leadership to represent. I always tell people, being from the Anibal Valley is very important. People here, we brought the cold, step outside, you know how cold it is. We brought the heat in the summer, and we brought the reality that our representatives just don't do enough for us. So why am I running? Because when I look at this room, I always tell people, never doubt what a small, committed group of people can accomplish, because after all, what have they always done? They've made the change that's required. I'm running because Washington and Sacramento doesn't represent us anymore, if they ever did. I grew up here, I graduated from high school in 2000. I was the millennial class 2000. I look back now, and things have gotten way worse. This country, this district, these cities should be booming. After 20 years, that's more than enough time to invest. That's more than enough time to get you guys jobs. That's more than enough time to invest in education. That's more than enough time to get you guys to realize what is going on here. For far too long, beginning with Steve Knight and his predecessors, jobs, investment, communities are down to 14 free money. This is the same district, everybody. And so what you need to realize is you need somebody who you guys can hold accountable, somebody who's going to tell you, yes, we can do that, or no, we can't do it yet, but I'm going to fight for you anyways. The time has come. It's 2020, the election's coming up, you have somebody in the White House who needs to be put down. He needs to have control. Realize it's just sad reality, but he's out of control. My name is Valdez-Ortega. I want to earn your vote. Thank you so much.
Pretty hard follow-ups, to be honest with you. But reason why I'm running, man, it's difficult, but here goes. I'm invested in this community. I live here. My children go to daycare here. I eat in the restaurants. I support the businesses. I come out, you know, to see them play in the park. And we need somebody that's going to represent us. We just need somebody. We just need somebody that's going to say, hey, I understand you. I want to understand your issues. I need somebody that's going to answer the call, you know, and take us to where we want to be. Like Anibal said, we've had more than enough time. We've had more than enough time. They've had more than enough time. You know, we don't have time. We simply do not have it. I'm tired of seeing people saying, I don't have health care, or I can't give my kid an education, or I can't have my kids play in the park, or I can't even play. For me, honestly, I can't even go play basketball if I want to, because we just don't have that, you know? But, like I said, we need to go out and vote. Let's make a change. Let's be the change that we want to see. So there's an election coming up March 3rd. We all know this, correct? Yeah. Find your precinct, get the information, go down the ballot, and when you see the ballot, you see the names, pick one that talks to you, okay? Pick one, doesn't matter who it is right about now, just pick someone that's going to represent you, pick someone that's going to say, hey, you know what, this person has my best interest in mind, and we're going to take it all the way to the House.
You know, I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge that the fellow candidates up here, anyone on this stage, would be a great person to represent you guys in the And as an aside, I also think it's amazing how many people of color there are up here too. And, you know, we need to have You know, I think that there's no doubt that we're at a turning point in American history. You know, a lot of the things that we used to count on and take for granted, like civility in politics, and, you know, certain traditions and institutions that we've taken for granted are now being eroded right before our eyes. And, you know, the people in Washington aren't going to do anything about this. Well, the people who are going to do something about this are people like you know, whether it's out there advocating every day, whether it's voting or getting involved with one of these campaigns, you know, and we need to get more people like you in Washington. I've seen people with armed with nothing more than a camera start movements. We've seen unions of teachers go on strike and win major concessions. The simple fact of the matter is that the rich people and little white men around in Washington are a lot of people raising their voices, getting involved, rolling up their sleeves, making the world a better place in the world that they want to see.
That's right.
Now, I'm running because I think I could represent you guys, and I think I can do a good job of that. But I'm not the only person. A lot of people do really good at that. And a lot of the people on the stage will be really good at that. So I don't care who you vote for. What you need to do is you need to vote. We need to not take our democracy for granted. And what we need to do is we need to get more progressives in office. We need to run progressives everywhere. We need to, every conversation, assert a strong but respectful progressive point of view.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the debate. I'd like to thank Cenk.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to Stephen. Thank you to Transplants. And for all of you out here who stood for hours to listen to us, thank you for coming out and participating in democracy.
Yes, thank you.
Also, don't let democracy die, please. Not here in our district. We need to go out and vote. Remember, March 3rd, vote. Find your precinct. Grab a neighbor. Take your kids if you got to. Show them the process, okay?
Yep, that's right.
Yes.